Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contract, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Zack on the line. He's co-founder over at Revolving Mind Media. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Adam.
All right, Aaron. So I'm excited to get into today's topic. So trends in branding and endorsement deals. You're the deal maker I want to talk about, or talk about this with, I should say. But before we get into that, I do want to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at Revolving Mind Media. So tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
100%. So a little background at Revolving Mind Media. We launched approximately 4 years ago, and we are in the athlete space as well as business marketing. So right now, 50% of our business is working with professional athletes on branding, endorsement deals, charity work, and the other 50% is working with businesses and brands, helping them be seen. So we've really built out our internal marketing team, and really anything on a digital presence is where we excel in. And with that, we do a lot of unique cross-marketing between the businesses and brand side of the agency and the athlete side. We've really focused on as well is expanding outside of just the NFL market. We've been 100% NFL up until a handful of months ago where we expanded into the NBA world. And we're excited about the growth that we've had over this past 4 years.
Man, that's awesome. And, at the end of this, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave your website or social or wherever you want people to follow up so they can learn more about you and your team. I want to make sure the right types of individuals and organizations connect. So what's typically a good fit for you in terms of clients?
I would say approximately 75% of our business and brand side is small to mid-sized businesses that are trying to take that next step. They might have a solid website, but they're not doing Google ads or they're not leveraging influencers in the marketplace. I like that personally because I grew up in the small business world in the retail space, and I'm able to show the small business owners a lot more than the Lyft transportations and Toyota, how much more revenue I'm bringing them. I'm a big numbers guy. And so I would say the small business area is where we are excelling in at an extremely rapid pace. Obviously, our athlete side is continually growing. It's all referral based on our athlete side. But on the business side, it's definitely about roughly 75% of our business. And, scope of work that we're doing is everything from public relations to social media management to SEO and SEM work, influencer marketing. Really, again, the whole focus with our agency is turning revenue and showing that these businesses, if they're paying us $1,000, we're bringing them in 3 or 4. And that's kind of how we operate on a day-to-day basis.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great transition too. So let's dive into today's topic. So trends you're seeing in branding and endorsement deals. I mean, you've been in this business for a long time. I mean, where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, so, I got in the business when I was 18, and I was an unpaid intern for 2 years. Everyone sees the luxury of getting involved in sports, and they watch sports, so they think they can work in sports. But it's a lot of grinding early on, and I worked my way up to becoming the youngest NFL agent in the business at 24, going on 25. When we launched Revolving Mind Media, we didn't want to be a standard agency that just focused on paid posts and that was it. The majority of our deals that we are doing on our athlete marketing and endorsement side are equity deals. And we really focus on athletes that truly believe in the business and brand. If they aren't going to utilize it on a day-to-day basis, it's just not going to work. So that's one area that instead of just a cash component for endorsement deals, a lot of our clients are wanting equity into businesses at a small equity stake to really help them grow. And, as I mentioned, we work with a lot of small businesses, so they don't have tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to lay out to athletes, but they want creative avenues. So we're doing equity deals. We're doing a percentage of sales generated through unique links. We're incorporating their charity. Of course, there is a pay for post component, but that is not the base of our agency. And that's a really strong change in the industry. That was not a focus 6-7 years ago when I was in the industry. It was, let's bring in as much capital as possible and put as much money in these pockets, athletes' pockets now. And now we're really focused on that generational long-term wealth. And that's how we truly believe this is kind of the future. I'll give one real-life example on a recent partnership. It was with Jalen Smith of the Dallas Cowboys and iCryo, which is the fastest cryotherapy business in the country. They have 80 sold locations around the country. And it was a very unique way of how our relationship built with iCryo. Started with LinkedIn management, moved on to national public relations, introduced them to Jalen Smith of the Dallas Cowboys. And Jalen absolutely loved it, wanted to bring it to his hometown of Fort Wayne, Indiana. So we had a branding component of equity. We had an investment where he has to scale the cryotherapy businesses in the Midwest. And that's kind of how that partnership was able to be executed. There was a social media posting component to that. But I figured a real-life example on how these equity deals are coming to fruition would be helpful.
Man, I love it. And what I like about this most is that, in the past, some of this was just, just use the name, this, that, and, and for some people that worked, by the way. For some businesses, I'm not down that model. But
it just
now,
wasn't authentic.
Like and people see through that now. Like, it's not like nobody, if you're not really part of it, like what he was doing, and what I can tell is that he really believed in the brand. He wouldn't be going through all that extra trouble to kind of be that involved with the business, the equity side, all these other things. If you're just looking for a check in to kind of move on to the next, right? Like, it's too much work. First of all, it's way too much work.
You're exactly right, and he lives and breathes cryotherapy. A lot of your listeners will know about his injury coming in his bowl game, right? That's what changed the landscape of a lot of star players sitting out bowl games, and he lives and breathes it. He does cryotherapy at least approximately 5 days a week, and it's authentic and real, and he doesn't have to put #ad at the end of his post where it seems just staged and paid. It's a true partnership.
Man, I love that. That's exciting. So what do you see? I mean, because, again, you've been in the industry so long. What is the next, and I'm not asking you to have your crystal ball, but kind of, what's the next evolution in this thing, and how this part is going to work? Because a lot of ad dollars, a lot of company dollars are moving, especially from smaller companies, are going from, directly to influencers and to these type of deals. And, small companies are becoming big, let's say possibly quicker, and displacing or disrupting some of the incumbents faster lately, I'm noticing in certain sectors. So what do you see next?
We're really focused on the tech space. I attended CES the past couple of years just to try and be ahead of the curve on what's coming out in the tech industry. I think that is definitely the future. And you kind of look at, I look at the stock market on a day-to-day basis, and those businesses that are peaking, from the Pelotons to the Zooms. I see commercial real estate not going away, but it's going to take a long time till people are going back into the WeWorks and shared workspaces. So I look at anything that I can be sitting at home and can be utilized. I think that's kind of the immediate focus. So those are a couple businesses that I focus on, and I'm watching very, very closely. And obviously, if you follow the stock market over the past 4 or 5 months, those two businesses have absolutely exploded, and I don't see them going anywhere. People are trying to get more creative. But again, in the tech space specifically, from self-driving cars to right here in the Dallas Metroplex is where there's a There's flying cars and helicopter pads that are being developed. So again, I've worked with the Lyft Transportations, and Toyotas are a couple of businesses that I've executed partnerships with, but there's others in the space that are taking that next step in the tech space and transportation industry.
No, totally. I like it. Can you talk on the importance of building a platform? And the reason why I think it's an interesting question for you is that you do it for business owners. You also do it for professional athletes. So I believe that both business owners and professional athletes have a lot of the same challenges. Like they do. It's not like it once was. Once upon a time where you're just on TV, everybody's watching the same TV. Even being a pro athlete on TV, there's so many TVs, they're competing for eyeballs too. So can you talk a little bit more about the importance of building a platform?
Yeah, and it's very interesting because I have this conversation with our clients, especially when they first enter the NFL.
All day long. I figured you do it all day long. I knew you did. I feel it.
And I'm going to give two examples. The first one is Devontae Holloman. He was a 6th-round pick of the Cowboys in the I think it was 2013, and came into the league. We sat down and we were talking about all these big brands that he was interested in. You know, the hard part about the NFL is these guys are just not as recognizable. They're wearing a helmet. It's not like the NBA. It's a little harder to recognize these athletes. But again, when they have a star on their helmet, the brand and the value is there. And a lot of players think, oh, you know, I'm going to do this later on in my career once I establish myself. But the truth is the average playing career is only 3.5 years. So when Devontae and I sat down and kind of mapped out, what was the main focus, he was like, you know what, I'm going to come to Rotary events with you. I'm going to come to networking events. He would pull his own business cards. He would send his own personal emails, and he had an awful injury.
Smart.
His second year in the league, he had an awful injury to his neck, was forced to retire. Well, he had an awesome baseline of an amazing network, had job offers, ended up going to coach with Steve Spurrier at the time at South Carolina, where he came out of. But that is the value in at least the networking component in knowing the importance of the Cowboys brand and how to leverage that. A second example is something that I'm going through right now. I'm working with Anthony Brown of the Cowboys, and we're currently working on writing a children's book. He knows the power of his teammates right now, from the Dak, the Zeke, the Amaris. He can leverage great relationships that he has, as well as the Cowboys organization and Charlotte Jones and Stephen Jones and that entire group. Capturing that now as a 24, 25-year-old is a hard mentality. You're focused on playing football. That's what my clients have done their entire career. They are turning into full-on entrepreneurs. They are involved in all conversations, whether it's financial or putting the planning together on endorsement deals, because they're not going to be playing football forever. They're going to own their own businesses, and they need to ask their own questions. And, you know, Jalen, Anthony, they go into these endorsement conversations, and they ask more questions than me. So they're closing the deal. It's really not me. But I'm very, very particular with who I work with. But yes, leveraging the brand, whether it's Cowboys, NFL, NBA, it's so important, especially at the early stages of entering the career in the league.
I love it. I think it's well said. And I love that you make the point that, you know, these professional athletes are entrepreneurs. And they really, if you think about it, they always have been. We're not going to make this political, but I wish they could start their entrepreneur career earlier, like let's say when they're in college, when they're already generating a ton of revenue for other individuals. Right. But we're not going to get into this one because it's politics, right? But it's just crazy that system still exists. I'm like, are you kidding me? But anyway, I'm not going to go off on that tangent. No.
That's affecting the NCAA right now, as we're seeing all around the country.
It's crazy. Still to this day, I'm like, they are entrepreneurs, and if they were able to start that entrepreneurship career earlier, then that 3 years in NFL or whatever else it is, that could set them up for a good amount of time of their life, and at least give them the skills, right?
I completely agree.
So this is awesome. So next step. So if somebody, Aaron, is listening to this and they want more information on Revolving Mind Media, whether they're obviously an athlete or in that side of things, or a business owner, which you mentioned you work with many different niches and sizes of businesses. I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out and to connect with you and your team?
two avenues, revolvingmindmedia.com. Contact us. The emails go directly to myself and my other partner, and at Aaron Zack 21 on social media platforms. Happy to interact, happy to answer questions of individuals trying to either break into the sports arena or interested in just trying to grow their digital presence as a whole. But I think we could be talking for hours, so I might have to come on to your other podcast as well. I appreciate it, Adam.
That's awesome. Well, Aaron, really appreciate you coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some links, some comments on the website. I'd love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Aaron, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Adam. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.